Geoff's Wonderland.
Welcome, everybody, wherever you are, whoever you are, however you are, to a very special edition of Geoff Healy's Wonderland. I'm Geoff, and it's very special because this is the 20th episode. Can you believe that? I want to take this opportunity to thank you all for accompanying me thus far, and I promise you that there will be many, many more trips to the Wonderland ahead. Now, to celebrate this milestone, this is going to be an episode where our most popular regular segments, that is Theory Time and Geoff's Thought of the Day, are going to be kind of linked up by the theme of space travel, outer space, that sort of thing, you know. But before we get into it, before we launch into Theory Time, and I know the countdown has already started. I see the engineers and the men in the white lab coats standing over in the corner with their clipboards looking at me nervously. I want to turn briefly to my recent discovery concerning what I like to call the two big M's. Yes, the worlds of music and medicine. Okay? Now, apparently, there is an affliction affecting horn players. In other words, people who play brass instruments, such as trumpets, saxophones, tubas, etc., etc. And this is something called thrombosis, I think, and it can be potentially life-threatening. And I believe it's now a risk when flying on aeroplanes, and that one should use surgical stockings to guard against this dangerous condition. Now, to be honest with you, I can't see how putting your trombone in a surgical stocking would help, apart from maybe preventing you from playing the thing and thereby avoiding any serious lip trauma. But, I suppose these medical people know what they're talking about. Anyway, we are now going to stop beating around the brass instrument bush because it's time for that part of the show which you've all mysteriously been waiting for. Yes, that place between anticipation and dread. It's Theory Time.
Yo, you can't know what you can't know. I'm going to tell you what I think I know. I don't know what I know. This is what I know. Theory Time.
Yes, welcome to the 20th edition of Theory Time. So, the other night, whilst attempting to hide from the washing up, I was outside looking at the stars, and it occurred to me that other civilizations, alien life, if you will, have probably decided not to launch an Independence Day-style attack on the Earth and destroy everything. Not because they couldn't, but because there is far more value in letting us continue to do it ourselves. And also because of that most important of all factors. Yes, I'm talking about TV ratings. Now, I can imagine that on a planet somewhere very, very far away, there's almost certainly a race of sentient beings who value humour above all else, and who are regularly watching a top-rated reality/comedy show involving contestants who we would refer to as aliens in UFOs, who regularly visit Earth merely to observe the way the world is generally going, thus producing a show so funny and so popular to the highly intelligent and developed folks on that planet as to make Seinfeld seem, by comparison, like a failed documentary about house paint. And so, ironically, by letting things get as bad as we have over the last however long, we might be actually inadvertently protecting ourselves from interplanetary attack by unwittingly providing endless hours of amusement to a distant species. So the next time you're out on the balcony looking up at the stars, feeling insignificant and waiting for meteorites, space junk, or the ISS to pass over, bear in mind that you could well be one of a cast of billions in a top-rating intergalactic television comedy series without even realising it.
This is what I know. Theory Time.
Yes, that's Theory Time, and the tractor beam is pulling us into the next part of the show, and that's Song of the Day. Now, today's Song of the Day is in fact a song which was recorded in 2020, and a single, not part of an album. And if you were to ask me what I was thinking when I wrote this song, I would have to honestly answer that it kind of wrote itself. I've always wanted to write a song about fruit. No, not really. But I think it's a fine ambition. And specifically, this is a song about berries. Because you don't think of an avocado as a berry, do you? But that's what it is. It's a berry. It is. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And also, I'd had a bit of writer's block. You know, I'd come up with an idea for a song, I'd write the music, and then I'd think, what am I going to use for lyrics? And I could not come up with decent lyrics for what I'd written musically. And then I realised a lot of songs have nonsense lyrics, or have lyrics that aren't necessarily about relationships or the state of the world today, da-da-da-da-da. And I've written songs like that. So it was refreshing to me to finally have a song about absolute nonsense, and more specifically, breakfast. So without any further ado, I present to you Avocado Overkill. What's that on your plate? Mysterious smashing. Yeah, but I can relate. It is so very refreshing. It's there on your tongue. Now, I am actually a big fan of a really good breakfast with all of the above ingredients, I have to say. So, I'm familiar with the subject matter, extremely familiar with it. It just struck me as a very funny subject for a song, a very unexpected to me, and almost certainly unexpected to everybody else. Wasn't feeling so salady, but with this mentality, I got myself a melody. Had my fill of avocado overkill. Breakfast time stood still for avocado overkill. Best place to check the song out, the rest of the song, is YouTube, because there's a music video there as well. And it's good fun. Okay, so we've managed to find the light speed button on the console, and now we find ourselves hurtling uncontrollably towards the next part of the show. And of course, that's
Geoff's Thought of the Day.
I was thinking about something, I think it was the thought of the day. I think it was the thought of the day.
We're now safely docked with the Thought of the Day module. And today's Thought of the Day is, if I may say so myself, truly groundbreaking. So buckle up. I'll start off by saying that one thing I'm very much in favour of is where skills learned in one profession are shared with another, for the benefit of all. America's Aeronautics and Space Administration, otherwise known as NASA, or NASA, depending on how you want to pronounce it, needs, I believe, to humanise its space program in a way to get ordinary people well and truly behind it during these difficult times. We all know that historically NASA often goes through periods where, for political reasons, its funding is cut or compromised, and I believe I have a surefire solution to this. You see, in my opinion, the only way forward is to start involving ordinary folks in America's space program. You know, give them a bit of basic training, stick them in a spacesuit, get them used to floating about in a non-gravitational environment, and just shoot them up there to the ISS, the International Space Station, just to see what happens. Because it's not going to be too long before people like you and me will be routinely taking trips to the stars, thanks to the vision and genius of some of our top entrepreneurs. Because, and I'm sure Elon Musk would agree with me on this, space tourism is the next frontier. And what better way to get the Earth's population truly excited about it than by giving them the feeling that they're really being included? So yes, let's get the ordinary folks involved. Teach them a few new skills. I'm sure there's loads of them that'd gladly risk their lives for that, and for the future of the human race, and for their 15 minutes of fame involving something other than social media. And given that I'm probably the most ordinary person in the world, folks, I believe that I am uniquely qualified to be... Okay, are you ready for this?
The first piano entertainer in space.
Now, you might ask, well, how would that make sense, Geoff? You're not that fit, you've got no aeronautical training, you know nothing about physics, you're not even particularly smart. Well, I would say to that person, yes, you're absolutely right on all counts, but I have unique skills which I believe would bring just the right kind of everyman-friendly face into space, in this case. I mean, Look, it's really a no-brainer. All they need to do is to rig up a decent electric piano somewhere in the International Space Station in a convenient corner with a small but appropriately powered PA system, and I would have those 3 or 4 or 5 other astronauts partying like there's no tomorrow during their downtime, and also lifting their everyday spirits as I play their requests while they carry out their important calculations, routine repairs on the space station, etc., etc., etc. I mean, look, I would even be prepared to learn a few Russian folk songs. Economically, it would also make sense because my rates are very reasonable, and I would be quite prepared to do a gig lasting, several months on the ISS, as long as I get 1 night a week off. And look, I mean, I've had a lot of experience playing in extremely dangerous environments, like the suburbs of Hobart and Tasmania, which I believe to be far more life-threatening than anything space could possibly throw at me. Now, coming back to the skill sharing thing, I reckon there's got to be a way we can include other normal people in this project and do so in a way that will truly make it worthwhile for all concerned. I'm talking about gardeners, confectioners, shop assistants, even accountants. They could all, in one way or another, bring some surprising value during their tenure aboard the ISS, whilst in the company of highly qualified international astronauts who, needless to say, have very different skills. Now, bear with me here. This is the important bit. Can you imagine the joy and surprise back on Earth after the safe return of the astronauts when their families and friends discover that they have gained, say, otherwise impossible skills in the areas of cake decorating, customer service, shrubbery maintenance, and tax deduction maximisation?
I think it was the thought of the day.
And on that thrilling note, we end our thought of the day for today and touchdown again safely back on Earth. So, folks, thank you so much for joining me on this, the 20th episode of The Wonderland. And if you enjoyed the show, please do hit the subscribe button and feel free also to leave a comment about the show. And if you'd like to drop me a line, please do. You can get in touch at jeffswonderland@yahoo.com or via jeffhealy.com. That's my website. Okay, so another very important announcement I need to make now is that this episode is the final episode in Season 1 of Geoff Healy's Wonderland, and we're going to be taking a 5-week break now whilst we put ourselves back together, rearrange the furniture, and basically take a well-earned holiday whilst we come up with lots of ideas for Season 2 and Season 3 and Season 4 and possibly even Season 5. In the meantime, folks, keep breathing, keep on believing, play nice with the other kids, and I'll be back again real soon with a brand new season of My Wonderland.
Gotta get back to just Wonderland.